Hey there, Ron Sullivan, your online hitting consultant. I want to talk today about getting on plane early. And the terminology that we're using with that is, I wanted to talk about where that came from, because I think that's really important to understand if you are somebody that's using that cue, to understand where that terminology came from. Because the history of it is extremely important. Now on the right here is a young man doing a linear style of hitting, right? Kind of chopping down at the ball. That's evident in how his arms and hands extend down to the ball. Naturally, the barrel is an extension of that, so it will continue to work down and through the ball, right? And then rotational hitting, basically, is the main difference is that we're trying to get on plane early and stay on plane as long as possible. Now, the word of caution that I would use there is that the only reason that cue came about is to talk about the differences in the two teaching systems, right? Now, as far as a hitting cue goes, the last thing you want to tell a 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old is get on plane early, right? They have no problem with laying the bat down, as many of you that have kids that are bat casters or dropping their barrel or whatever. They're trying to get behind the ball. Naturally, kids try to do that. The problem is how they're doing it a lot of times is not working. But if you talk to that same player about getting on plane early, right, what's the point? They're already laying the bat down back here. They need to learn to get shorter to the ball. Okay, so if this young man comes in for an evaluation, I may talk to him about the differences, right, and what he's doing and what he's been taught. And by the way, no players do this unless they've been formally taught to chop down at the ball. That's all there is to it. You're never going to see a young kid do this naturally unless somebody's told them to chop down at the ball, right? So that's the only reason that I would use that phrase or that terminology of get on plane early, is just to show them, look, we can get the barrel in the zone and stay in the zone a little bit longer, and that's going to be to your advantage. Now we'll work for drills to get that, but there's no reason from that point on to talk about, hey, we got to get on plane early. Nowadays you got commentators, play-by-play guys in the booth talking about, look how early he got on plane and stayed on plane. It's like guys that make $15 million a year, and they're like the top 1% of the 1% in the world, and they're surprised that these guys are getting on plane early, right? And then, but now we hear that, and we hear Harold Reynolds, who I love, by the way, but we just hear a guy like that who we respect on TV say that, and so we go to the next game and we start yelling out, get on plane. We go to our practice, we're doing tee work, get on plane, and then we wonder why kids are still knocking the tee over, right? Learn to teach your kids the fundamentals of hitting first, of working short to the ball, right? We don't have to chop down at the ball to work short to it. Learn how to get out of this zone, unload the swing correctly, and then get through the ball as long as possible. Short to it, long through it, but for heaven's sake, don't talk to players about getting on plane early that don't need it, right? This guy, like maybe this system works well for him, probably a better hitter than me. What am I going to do, right? But this guy, in my evaluation, I would talk to him about the differences in my hitting system, right? I wouldn't want him to chop down at the ball. That's the only time that I would bring it up. I wouldn't, as I'm throwing him balls, get on plane early, get on plane early. Don't use it as a cue. It's not going to work for you. All right, thanks a lot, guys.